Today we're breaking down the pros and cons of living in Clermont, Florida. Welcome back to Unlocking Central Florida, from Orlando to Tampa and everywhere in between. If you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Jake, and if you're looking to buy or sell a home in the future, there's information linked below the video. The first pro of living in Clermont, Florida is that it has a small town charm with a lot of bigger city amenities, such as farmers markets and just a lot of things to do in the area. There's a lot of different outdoor activities. You got the lake, and also there's some really nice restaurants and beachfront restaurants as well, with that really nice large lake. And there's several different large lakes surrounding Clermont as well. Not only to mention, it's pretty close in proximity to Disney as well, while also being outside of some of the busier touristy areas as well. So you get a good balance between having really great amenities for a place to live, but also having it be a little bit more localized and a little bit more quiet as well. And the first con of living in Clermont, Florida is that it's further away from other parts of Central Florida. It's further away from Orlando and Universal and the airport. And some people have noted who lived there that it has fewer things to do as opposed to some other parts of Central Florida, where you have more big city amenities and you have closer access to the theme parks or other amenities that Central Florida has to offer. And Clermont's just a little bit tucked away. Even though it does have some really great things, it is just a little bit further away, and some people have noted that it doesn't have some of those broader amenities that some other areas in Central Florida do have. And the second pro of living in Clermont, Florida is that it has a lot of really beautiful scenery. There's a lot of beautiful hills and topography in Clermont in particular, as opposed to many of the other areas in Central Florida where it's much more flat and there's less of that hilly vibe, where there's more of a dynamic. And also on top of that, there's really big and beautiful lakes and lakefronts that you can walk around, bike around, and just enjoy, as well as or go boating, or even have basically inland beaches where it basically feels like you're on a beach on a really big lake, and it almost feels like a beach, very similar to an ocean beach. However, it's in the middle of the state, and it's still a really nice place to visit, and on top of that, a really nice place to live as well, with all of the different trees and scenery that Clermont has to offer, as opposed to many of the other parts of Central Florida where it's much more industrial, and not only that, but more flat, or the lakes are smaller or less accessible for people to go and visit and to see the lakes and to be able to go and use those lakes as well. So Clermont does have a lot to offer as far as scenery, if you like going outside and enjoying the outdoors, or just enjoying your day-to-day life and enjoying beautiful scenery as well. The second con of living in Clermont, Florida is that it's being quickly developed. They're building a lot more condos and apartments and just more development in general as time goes on, and this is causing more traffic similar to other parts of Central Florida, especially if you've lived in Clermont for a while. However, if you're coming in new to Central Florida in general, Clermont does have a little bit less traffic compared to many other parts of Central Florida. However, in general, Central Florida is getting more busy and more traffic and more developed in general, and this is true for Clermont as well. And if you're wanting to get away from that and be in a less busy area as far as less development, then you might want to go further out, more towards Groveland or more towards other areas where it's less busy, as opposed to Clermont right now, where it's getting more and more developed in many of the other areas in Central Florida as well. And the third pro of living in Clermont, Florida is that it's a calmer area while also still having close proximity to Disney. It's not in a touristy area. It's not as busy as some of the other areas in Central Florida. and yet you still have good access to Disney, and that's only going to get better in the future as new roadways open up that are currently being developed. So that can be a really great pro if you both like Disney but also want to be outside of some of those busier crowded areas where a lot of people go, and also where a lot of people tend to visit and hang around. Those are the pros and cons of living in Clermont, Florida. Now watch the map tour of Clermont, Florida on the screen now.